Hey there, welcome over here to my kitchen. Today I'm showing you a new grocery budget challenge, and I cannot believe how high grocery prices have gotten since I have last done one of these videos. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to head over to Walmart. We're going to see how many different food products we could buy with only $20. I know $20 is not a lot of money at all, but I am going to be trying to make these meals as healthy as possible and as filling as possible. I will use a few pantry staples from my own home, just simple things like seasonings and a little bit of milk. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's going to be a fun one, and let's go head over to Walmart. Well, we're at Walmart. I do want to show you a few of the items that I picked up. So the first being cheese. I looked over at the pre-shredded cheese and looked at the price per ounce. I saw that it was 27.8 cents per ounce. And then I looked over at the block of cheese and I saw that that was 23.3 cents an ounce. So the block of cheese is actually cheaper and it is definitely worth the money savings in my opinion. Now we're going to head over to the meat section, and I saw that the ground turkey was only $3.16 for about a pound of that. So that was cheaper than the ground beef and the chicken at my grocery store on that particular day. So I picked up that ground turkey. Now we are in the dried bean section and we're picking up a pound of pinto beans. Pinto beans are so high in protein and fiber. They're a great meat substitute if you're on a budget. I highly recommend them. Now we're at the produce section and I'm picking up 2 of these large russet potatoes. I have a really cool recipe up my sleeve using these potatoes. I really can't wait to show you. I'm going to be showing you a rundown of everything that I picked up today. So starting with the produce, I picked up a bag of these carrots and a bag of celery. Carrots and celery are typically very inexpensive as far as vegetables. I also picked up a white onion and those 2 russet potatoes. Next, I grabbed a dozen eggs. Eggs are typically very reasonable priced at the store. They have gone up in price though. And then of course I grabbed that cheese and a can of biscuits. These biscuits are so inexpensive and they do go a long way. A can of cream of mushroom, a bag of rice, and those pinto beans. Next I grabbed a big bag of tortillas. There are so many tortillas in this bag for that price. And then sausage and our ground beef. Let's go purchase all these items and then head back to my house and see what we could create with all this food. I'm really excited to show you. Of course, we need to start the day off with breakfast, so we're making this breakfast biscuit casserole. To the pan on my stove, I'm adding 1 pound of breakfast sausage. I'm breaking the sausage up and I am going to cook it through. While our sausage is cooking away, we are going to start on our biscuits. So I have our can of Great Value biscuits, or you could use any other brand of biscuits that you like. I'm cutting each biscuit up into smaller pieces at this point, so each biscuit is transforming into 4 smaller pieces. Now that our sausage is cooked through, if you've seen any of my other videos on my channel, you know this is one of my favorite tricks. I'm just removing any excess grease in the pan with a paper towel just like this. It works wonderfully, I promise. Now I'm going to set our sausage to the side. In this medium-sized bowl, I am going to crack 9 of our eggs in at this point. Now that we have all of the eggs in the bowl, I'm adding in a dash of pepper and salt. You could also add in any other seasonings that you enjoy at this point. Then I added in 1/4 cup of water, or you could use milk. Water is just super budget friendly. So then I whisked this all together to combine the ingredients. Now over to my 9x13 baking dish. I am spraying it with nonstick spray so nothing sticks. And then I'm adding our biscuit pieces, trying to do it evenly on the bottom of the baking dish. I'm adding our cooked crumbled sausage to the top of the biscuit pieces at this point. Just spread that sausage out. Then over the top of the sausage, you are going to be adding our egg mixture. This is going to bake on 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until the egg has set and the biscuit pieces are starting to look golden brown on the very top. And this is what it looks like. This has to be one of the easiest breakfast casseroles to throw together. It has amazing flavor. And if you wanted to, you could meal prep this at the beginning of your week and have it throughout your week. It is that good. Now we're making this turkey potato casserole. To get it started, over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding our 1 pound of turkey that we grabbed from the store. Break your turkey up and cook it through at this point. While our turkey is cooking away, I'm going to get started on the potatoes and the onion. So I have our 2 russet potatoes. I'm slicing them into very thin pieces. And then I have our onion. I am only dicing half of that onion up. I saved the rest of the onion for future recipes in this video. Now to our cooked turkey, we're going to season it up with a half a teaspoon of onion powder, garlic powder, pepper, salt, paprika, and oregano. It is going to be very flavorful. I am going to stir this all together. I do also want to let you know seasonings are always very budget friendly and they do add quite a bit of flavor to recipes, so just keep that in mind if you're on a budget. Now we're going to start on the sauce. So to this bowl, I'm adding our 1 can of cream of mushroom. Next, add 3/4 cup of milk, and then you are going to add in that onion that we diced up, along with a dash of pepper and salt. Whisk this together. Over to my greased 9x13 baking dish, we are going to assemble our casserole. So there's a total of 2 layers. The first layer is half of the amount of the potatoes, half of the amount of the turkey, and half of the amount of the sauce. Go ahead and repeat this for the second layer. I do want to let you know russet potatoes are super high in fiber and they do have some good protein in them, so they are a great budget-friendly food item. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees, covered with aluminum foil for 55 minutes. After those 55 minutes of baking, you are going to remove it from the oven and you're going to remove the aluminum foil on the top, and you're going to sprinkle about a cup of the cheese that we grabbed from the grocery store over the top. This is going to continue to bake for an additional 15 minutes. Here's what dinner looks like on that night. You cannot even tell how budget friendly this meal is. The potatoes and the turkey together are absolutely perfect. This is definitely a family favorite for us, and it's very nutritious and filling. We really love it. Now we're making this hearty vegetable and rice soup. To get it started, we are going to slice up 3 of our carrots, 3 of our ribs of celery, and about a quarter of the onion that we have left. I'm going to bring our vegetables over to my large Dutch oven. I have about 3 tablespoons of hot olive oil in my Dutch oven. I'm adding those veggies in and I'm going to saute them around until they're soft. Now that we have our veggies starting to get soft, we're going to add in our 8 cups of chicken broth. I just used water with those bouillon seasoning cubes. That's what I like to use. And then I'm going to add in some additional seasonings, a half a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt and thyme, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, garlic powder, and dried oregano. You're going to stir this all together and bring it up to a boil. Once it does start to boil, you are going to add in your half a cup of white rice, along with about a tablespoon of dried parsley. Cover this and let this simmer on your stove for about 15 minutes. You do want to stir it frequently just so the rice doesn't stick. Now that our cooking time is up and our rice is tender, this is ready to serve. I really like making my family this soup just because it has so many different vitamins in it, especially vitamin A, so it is really healthy for you. It's also very hearty because it has that rice in it, so it will leave you full for a while, and it has great flavor. Now we're making this vegetable fried rice. To begin, you are going to want to cook up your rice. I'm doing it in the Instant Pot, and I'm actually just using the remaining rice that was in our bag, so there was about 2 cups left. I'm not using all of the 2 cups for this recipe. I am going to be using some of it for the next recipe, so you just wait and see. I added our water and our oil to the Instant Pot. I pressed the rice button and let it cook. Now over to the pan on my stove, I have a couple tablespoons of hot oil. I added about 2 ribs of celery that I sliced, the remaining quarter of the onion, and then the remaining 3 carrots that we had in our bag. I'm going to let these vegetables soften over the stove. Now that we have our vegetables good and soft, I'm pushing them over to the side of the pan. We're going to be cracking the last 3 eggs that we have left into the pan at this point. After I crack those eggs in, I seasoned them with a dash of salt and pepper. Go ahead and scramble these eggs up and cook them through. Now that we've scrambled our egg up, we're going to be adding about 3 cups of our cooked white rice in from the Instant Pot. After you add that white rice in, you will be needing some soy sauce for this recipe, but you'll only need to use about 4 tablespoons of that, and I'm using the low sodium soy sauce. Go ahead and stir this all together and let it cook for about 3 minutes, then it's ready to serve. I topped my bowl with some sliced green onions that I had left over in the fridge and sesame seeds. When my husband was going through college, I actually used to make fried rice like this all of the time, just because it's so budget friendly and you could pretty much use whatever vegetables in this recipe that you have on hand and it will come out delicious. Now we're making these classic rice and bean tacos, so to get this one started, I placed my strainer over the sink and I have my 1 pound of pinto beans right here. We're going to be adding those pinto beans in this strainer. I do want to let you know, for most of the kitchen products that I'm using in this video, I'll try to leave them all linked in my Amazon store for you if you want to check them out, but right now I'm just sorting through the beans. I'm finding any imperfect beans and just removing them. Sometimes there's rocks in the bags of beans too, so just look through them. Now I'm just rinsing the beans off. Sometimes there's leftover dust or dirt on the beans just because they're a plant, but after I am through rinsing the beans, I'm going to bring them over to my large pot over the stove. Now I'm adding in our 9 cups of water. Beans do need quite a bit of water to cook with them. And then I'm tossing in our seasonings. You could use any seasonings that you love, but I chose to use 2 bay leaves, a teaspoon of pepper and salt, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and onion powder. I gave this a stir and brought it up to a boil. Then I let this simmer covered for about 3 to 3.5 hours, or until the beans were tender. I did stir this occasionally, and I do want to let you know, while this is cooking on your stove, if the water line gets too low for your beans, you could always add 2 cups of water in at a time until your beans are nice and tender. Here's my plate of food. You can make so many different meals out of those pinto beans. They really go a long way. I served these in our flour tortillas topped with some of that leftover white rice. I sprinkled some of our cheese on top, and I did have a tomato left over on hand, so I just used some of that tomato on top. These are so nutritious and filling. I have plenty more grocery budget challenge videos like this on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed down below the video so you don't miss any more in the future. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.